From Tierney Field at USA Lacrosse headquarters in Sparks, Maryland, this is day 2 of the 2022 USA Lacrosse Fall Classic. Glenn Clark alongside my broadcast partner, Monica Moore. Monica, two very different teams here today as we see the national team take on the University of Maryland, but some similar circumstances for both these programs.
That's exactly right. You have the national team, these players looking to impress. They're looking to make that 23-man travel roster that will compete in San Diego. Of course, for the Maryland team, they already know some of the personnel that they have back, but they're looking to fill out the depth chart. They're looking to see who impresses in these fall ball contests in order to determine what it's going to look like in the spring. And the other thing that you have to keep in mind for both of these two clubs, both of them are defending champions.
Right.
So for the men's national team, they're looking to repeat, which has been impossible to do. For Maryland, they're looking to repeat as well, even though they've lost a lot of their offensive firepower from last season.
First of 3 games for us here today at Tierney Field. Maryland will play in both ends. Actually, both these teams will play in both ends of our lacrosse sandwich today. Of course, we're going to see a split squad for the national team. Today, we technically see the blue team in the morning, although we don't want to confuse you too much because they're wearing white. I know it's going to be very difficult. We will probably make a mistake a time or two during the course of the game, but technically, this is the blue team playing this morning for the United States national team, whereas Maryland, of course, wearing their red. And I get the sense they're going to play a lot of the same guys in the first game as they're going to play in the second game tonight, as they had one fall ball matchup last week against Cornell. Now they get ready for 2 matchups today against the national team. Maryland will be going right to left here in this first quarter. The U.S. will be going from left to right. We were treated to a show at the face-off dot last night in the inter-squad scrimmage, and we're expecting nothing different today. Luke Weirman getting the tough task of going up against T.D. Erlin, and he's not giving it up. Yard sale check right out of the gate. How about that from Luke Weirman, recovering after he loses the face-off to the ever-so-talented T.D. Erlin, gets right back in there.
We were so excited to see Luke Weirman today. Did not compete against Cornell in that fall ball matchup. As we know, he's one of the best in the NCAA in terms of winning face-offs, a big part of Maryland's national championship team. And he's going to have to be huge today because we're playing international rules. It is 15-minute quarters, running clock till we get to the last 30 seconds of this first quarter. It's a tough pass there for Maryland. So winning the face-offs, getting those possessions is going to be critical in this contest because you can have really long possessions without the shot clock.
See, Kyle Long was amped up, dodging hard, and just a little bit misfire on the pass. Jack Corus now with it for the Terps. And one of the big storylines for Maryland, everything they have to replace from a season ago, their top 4 points getters all gone, including Logan Wisnauskas, who's now part of this Team USA training camp roster, trying to make the World Championships next summer in San Diego. So for Maryland, the good news is they just have more and more talent they can turn to. They have done nothing but recruit. And we already see one of the issues that John Tillman told us he was worried about, the slick field, is getting in front, pulling the trigger is Owen Murphy.
It is going to be a factor today in terms of the fact that the turf is wet, so players really going to have to pay attention to that when they're doing changes of direction. The other issue, of course, is the sun, which is beating down on the field, very bright. Certainly going to be an extra factor in this early morning contest.
Terps turn it over here early. It's going to be a factor for the broadcasters as well. Bear with us. We're going to be putting our hands up to block it out.
To see the replays as well.
Trying to do sunglasses and binoculars, the whole thing. It's always tough. First possession for the U.S., the blue squad here on this beautiful Saturday morning in Sparks, Maryland. And we saw last night a 10-7 victory for Team Blue, but this is a different group. They have switched up the rosters for today's contest. Matt Rambo, the former Terp, sends back up top. Good movement early on, running shot, that's off the post. Tom Schreiber pulling the trigger early. He had 1 goal last night, scored an empty netter late in the 4th quarter. Terps not able to get that ground ball, remains on the turf.
And you see just how hard everyone battling right now.
It was,
for possession.
Rexroad had it, the long pole, had it checked back out, and it feels like Tom Schreiber is trying to tell his guys to calm down a little bit.
I think there's a lot of energy, a lot of momentum going into this contest. When we talked with John Danowski yesterday, the head coach of the national team, he said, look, these contests are not really in the players' favor because for the national team, they play a game last night at 7 p.m. They turn around, they play this 9:30 game. These are players that aren't necessarily competing, playing lacrosse day in and day out. These are players that have careers, they have families, they have jobs. And so it's a different adjustment. And I think you bring some of that adrenaline into this game and you have to settle down just a little bit. And we're seeing a little of that out on the field.
We're going to see some different pairings. Again, the point of this event for Team USA is try to figure out a perfect roster for the World Championship. How about Pinnell, the individual effort? Shot does not get through. And yeah, that'll be laid in the crease to allow Logan McNaney to pick it up.
I like that take, though, by Pinnell. He was one of the players we were very impressed with early on last night in the blue-white game in terms of, I think, setting the tone, playing on the white team last night for his team that had a little trouble getting going early on in that contest. But I think the calming presence of a veteran like Pinnell was critical in terms of that team's comeback.
Ryan Siracusa getting some early run for Maryland. And that's the thing. We know the knowns, the guys like Owen Murphy and Kyle Long, very aware. Daniel Kelly really stepped up a week ago when they played Cornell in a fall ball matchup, had a hat trick. But who else behind that? Who's going to be the next group of guys?
And I think a lot of big question marks on the offensive end of the field. We know a lot of the defense. That's where Maryland has a lot of players returning. You have the big names, Brett Makar returning, Ajax Zappaletto. But on offense, they lost a lot they're going to have to replace.
And we want to see that depth as Mullane will track down the ground ball, keep possession for the Terps. However, just a bit sloppy in the early going. And again, some of this guys that maybe haven't been out there with each other so much, just trying to feel each other out in the early going of this one. It's an interesting situation for Maryland. They know exactly what they're up against. We talked to John Tillman a couple of times, and you know, they are very aware of exactly how difficult this task is. They've decided to focus on themselves this week. That's what they're worried about, getting better. In fact, John Tillman admitted they didn't really even work on the international rules that we're playing with for this event. They just sort of said, we're going to go out, play what we want to do is we want to get better and get moving towards trying to defend our national championship in the spring.
Well, that's right. He said we may see some miscues with penalties and things like that because his team just hasn't really focused on learning and playing with the international rules. But they're looking to see who's going to step up in these big game moments, who can go toe-to-toe with some of the best players in the world. And that's going to be important in terms of early roster decisions in the spring when Maryland does look to defend their national championship.
Costabile keeps it moving, shot wide off the stick of Brad Smith. What a night it was for Costabile last night, the pair of goals for the white team in the 10-7 defeat.
Those were critical third quarter goals when the white team was down, trying to make a comeback. One of those was a man-up goal for Costabile. Another one was one of the best goals we saw the night. Bounce shot. Look at the defensive pressure.
Are you kidding me?
Right there.
Zach Zappatello. There's a reason why he is one of the knowns, third-team All-American a year ago.
And he is tremendous. Look at that effort, diving into the Maryland bench. All-out effort by Zappatello.
They are fired up this morning.
I love the emotion and intensity. We actually have the Maryland bench right in front of us. They're very loud, very vocal, very impressed with that effort. And let me tell you, it's defensive plays like that that are game-changing moments in a contest. And I think we're going to see a ton more of that by Ajax Zappaletto.
So we're going to get the first penalty of the day hold. So first man-up opportunity for the Terrapins. Nearly at the midway point of this first quarter. Again, keep in mind, playing with international rules, so running clock down to the 30-second mark in the first three quarters, down to the 2-minute mark in the fourth. There's some other subtleties about the running clock. Oh, what a find inside. Not quite able to get the slam dunk as Chorus was on the doorstep, but Murphy with a tremendous feed.
I love that vision in terms of spotting the open man on the inside for a good high percentage shot.
And a low shot from outside goes. Maryland on the board first.
Maryland taking advantage of opportunities. Man up situation, and the Terps able to convert.
Owen Murphy keeping it moving. That's fired home to make it a 1-0 game. Daniel Kelly's first today, after we mentioned he had the hat trick a week ago. Daniel Kelly scored just 6 goals last season in their undefeated run to the national championship. The Towson native from Calvert Hall. Big expectations, obviously part of a huge lacrosse family. Played for his father, Brian, the former North Carolina standout at Calvert Hall. And there is a lot of thought that he could be moving into a far bigger role this season for the University of Maryland.
We've been seeing that. He's really been making the most of his opportunities in fall ball. Beautiful goal. But then on the other end, massive face-off win by T.D. Erland, who we were so impressed with last night. Almost perfection, it felt like, at the face-off dot.
Worth pointing out, T.D. Erland, it's a good find and a huge goal from Charlie Bertrand to get us back even 1-1.
It almost feels like it took that goal by Maryland just to settle down these national team players a little bit, to get more into their offense, because that was such efficient execution by Team USA right here.
Conrad
Nice
finding Bertrand.
Take a look right to the top corner there.
First goal of the day for Bertrand, the first assist of the day for Conrad. Bertrand, of course, national champion at Virginia, pair of Division II national titles at Merrimack. Gets a square 1-1 here with just over 5 minutes to play. And how about that clean face-off win against one of the best in the world? Love to see that from Luke Weirman, and turns into instant offense for the Terrapins.
It was a clean face-off win, but I think the other thing that was so critical here that you're going to see on this replay is how quickly he pushes the ball up the field before anyone can even react. Weirman wins the face-off, excellent speed up the field, over to the left side, and the quick shot.
Murphy's second assist, and Spanos gets his first goal of the day to make it 2-1 Terps.
And Eric Spanos, one of those players I think everyone was very excited to see coming into this season. He was one of the players people think could be a replacement player coming in, replacing some of those goals lost to graduation. And the face-off battles have not disappointed. We knew that was going to be a big storyline coming into the entire weekend. And it's been a lot of fun so far. But I have to tell you, Luke Weirman can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the world in terms of what he can do. And that explosive speed is such a big part of his game.
Maryland gets it back, but they nearly threw it away just as quickly. One of the storylines, and we talked about this last night, Monica, was that you have Maryland players that see, the Matt Rambos, the Logan Wisnowskises, and Colin Heacocks, and all of the former Terps that are on this national team roster, and they're saying to themselves, we want to get on the radar to be a part of the national team program. That shot wide. We want to get into that position that those guys are in, and for a guy like Luke Weirman, who of course came on like a ball of fire a year ago, look, there is the depth for the national team at face-off is insane at the moment, but he would like to be a part of this as we look ahead a few years down the road. Running shot off the side of the net.
I think he's making such a strong case for himself, and of course right now his main focus is putting Maryland in a position to defend their national championship next season. But he has been a standout, and particularly when you think about the fact was not available against Cornell, did not get to see him in that event.
Well, they've got depth too. Gavin Ty, of course, the former Virginia Cavalier, man, has maybe the best fortune in the world. He's won back-to-back national championships. They are comfortable with their depth, but that was one of the storylines we talked about with John Tillman before today. In those positions, trying to identify who are the next guys. What happens if somebody gets hurt? Unfortunately, Maryland's already suffered a significant injury just this fall, losing Eric Molliver.
And that's a big loss in terms of the fact that we don't expect that he will be available for quite some time. I love the defensive pressure.
But a huge ground ball from Michael Sowers. Good to see Michael Sowers out there. We did not see him last night. Great to have him back. Former Princeton Tiger and then later Duke Blue Devil. All-time leading scorer in Princeton history. He won a gold medal at the U19 Worlds back in 2016. Now looking to represent his country at the World Championships in San Diego next summer. Rob Pennell, again, looking to make a move.
Works so well from behind the goal.
Tries to feed it inside. Not a lot of space to work with as he was looking for Sowers.
But Glenn, I think we are both really impressed with the way that Maryland has come out today. I think the stars have come to shine for the Terps. We've talked a lot about Weirman. I think Zapatello is setting the tone defensively for Maryland. And we're starting to see a lot of those offensive weapons that are going to be factors for Coach Tillman. They look very sharp in the opening minutes of this contest.
Lane feeds it up top. I was chatting with Matt Hamilton from USA Lacrosse the other day, and he pointed out, you know, these college teams come here and they're thinking big. They're thinking, let's make a statement. Maryland nearly pulled off, as that's a great looking shot, but a better save.
Yeah, Concannon has had some good stops in this event this weekend so far.
Denying Danny Maltz that time. He pointed out, look, Maryland played to a 1-goal defeat back in 2017 after they won the national championship against Team USA. They're up for the challenge, and today they're playing a split squad. This is obviously some of the best players in the world, but not all of the best players in the world that they're facing today. They're thinking to themselves, let's shock the world. And they're picking up that loose ball. Josh Kaufman.
Again, just seeing how crisp they are, the reaction time to pick up these loose balls.
Offsides, however.
Unlucky there for Maryland.
20 seconds left. Team USA trying to push. Want to tie this back up at the end of the quarter. Oh, what a transition run. Holy smokes. Michael Sowers able to finish it off.
It all starts, though, with the vision of Pennell.
That was a goal by Matt Sowers.
Pennell is the field general. We talked about it last night in terms of executing, in terms of getting these runs started for Team USA. I think he has been tremendous over the weekend so far. The composure, the experience, everything he brings to the table as one of the veterans for Team USA.
2-2 with 11.9 seconds remaining. Sowers gets his first goal this weekend. Face-off violation on Erlin, so Maryland will get one more chance. Clock does stop at the final 30 seconds. Weirman will push. Weirman looking, feeds it inside, actually behind, and they can get a shot off. No, not quite in time. Spanos not able to pull the trigger, but a highly competitive first 15 minutes here today at USA Lacrosse. Maryland and the national team tied up 2 apiece at the end of one quarter. You're watching the 2022 USA Lacrosse Fall Classic.
Yo, yo, yo. Do you know? I've seen it all before. There goes Tiger. Just as sharp with the bended knee. My main man, Money the King. There ain't nothing I ain't seen.
Okay, old school. Have you seen someone ball like Ja Morant? You know you can't. You've never seen anyone like a thing. The point guard queen, Sky, or Chloe Kim. Do you know there's never been anyone else like them? Look, OG, no disrespect. I know you think you've seen everything, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Checkmate.
Every player knows the skills you learn on the field can be the foundation for anything you choose to do in life.
Thank you for connecting me to a greater community.
We're growing beyond goals on the field.
And our futures are united.
So thank you, Lacrosse.
For inspiring me to be me.
We are better,
safer,
and wiser together.
And we're building a stronger future
for everyone.
Oh, it's on. Watch out, scrub. Whoa!
Look at Jake Tutow's hair has caused a turnover.
2-2 game as we start the second quarter here at the USA Lacrosse Fall Classic. Maryland and Team USA tied up. Glenn Clark, Monica Moore with you. Monica, what jumped out at you most in those first 15 minutes?
It was definitely Maryland in terms of the way that they came out in this contest, how they performed at the face-off dot. Weirman was absolutely tremendous. I was very excited today to get to see Spanos play. Last year, red-shirted, played on the practice teams, was often one of the best players on the practice teams. Getting to see him play, get that first goal in the contest for himself, I think big for Maryland. They have gone toe-to-toe with the blue team here, and we're all tied up, but I felt like it was Maryland that really had the big momentum for the majority of the first quarter.
A reminder that the blue team is wearing white today for Team USA. We didn't make the fashion choices. Oh, how about that clean win from T.D. Erlin? Of course, this time it was actually Gavin Ty who was in there for Maryland. T.D. Erlin probably licking his lips when he saw that and said, I'm going to make quick work of this one.
And that really has been the biggest storyline of the weekend in terms of the face-off battles, whether it's been blue team versus white team, whether it's blue team versus Maryland. I think worth the price of admission just to see these battles, to see these players perform at such a high level. And again, that's the point of emphasis in this game, is winning those possessions. It is even more critical with these international rules, and I think those players have been outstanding so far all weekend long.
Brad Smith trying to feed it back up to the top, not able to connect with Connor Kelly. Kelly digs it back out.
Great defensive pressure by Geppert.
Appears as though Jack Kincannon has stayed in goal for Team Blue as he started this game. You know, the one thing to point out about the face-off dot is that's thrown away. Just not crisp so far from Team USA on a Saturday morning.
But I do think that you have to credit the defensive effort of Maryland. That was Colin Burles with a big defensive play. And again, I think that was the expectation for Maryland. We knew the defense was going to be tremendous in terms of all the talent that Maryland has returning, and they have not disappointed in this contest so far.
And it's not like they didn't lose anything defensively. We talk about everything they lost offensively, the Wisnauskas, the Keegan Kahns, the Donvilles, the DeMeos of the world, but they also lost Roman Puglisi and Bubba Fairman and Matt Rahill. And yet, they're just able to bring so much back. Ooh, that should have been a goal.
It's a really nice idea.
Daniel Kelly was camped out right on top of the crease. Just couldn't quite convert. So Team USA gets it back. I do want to point out again, we see that Trevor Baptiste is not dressed for today's game. So we're expecting T.D. Erlin to go the whole way. It is possible. Certainly nothing, it would say that they couldn't call upon Nardella or Sisselberger to help out if they wanted to. That'll be over and back and go back the way of Maryland. But we are expecting T.D. Erlin to go the whole way. We saw that last night with Sisselberger going the distance against.
Both of those athletes outstanding in the event last night.
Man, that was fun.
It was really, I think, the matchup of the evening, if you had to pick one.
And there were a lot of good ones, but that one was just dynamite. Sisselberger and Erlin.
Sustained battles between those two who are truly two of the best in the world at that specialized position.
Murphy pulls the trigger, denied by Kincannon. It remains a 2-2 game. It's one of the things I keep reminding myself about being here this weekend. Appreciate USA Lacrosse having us out. It has just been a treat to watch the world's greatest athletes go at it. I am sometimes at a loss for words. We just forget how good these players are here in a very intimate setting at Tierney Field.
And a lot on the line for these players who are here for the national team this weekend, because today is their second to last chance really to impress the coaching staff. They'll have one more chance in December, and then the travel roster decisions will be made in terms of who the top 23 are going to be that will travel, that will compete in the World Championship. And any one of these players who are here this weekend could make that roster. They're all so good.
Wow, that hammer shot just sneaking up into the top corner from Brennan O'Neill, one of the youngest players at this event. Brennan O'Neill now with his second goal of the weekend. Duke Jr., second team All-American a year ago.
ACC Freshman of the Year. Tremendous resume coming into the event. Of course, playing for his head coach this weekend.
That's right.
Coach Danowski.
And Brennan O'Neill, someone, and we referenced this last night, John Danowski said, hey, look, these young players, it's going to be tough for these young players to make this roster, and they might feel like they're getting cut, but we hope they take it as more of a positive experience just being here as Erlin wins the quick face-off again for Team USA and build off of that. And so for Brennan O'Neill, whether or not he's going to be on the World Championship roster this summer, he's making quite the statement this weekend about having a big future coming off winning a gold medal with the U21 team this summer in the USA pipeline.
And I think that's what the coaching staff for Team USA is communicating to all these players is this is really a journey. We're building a foundation here. Certainly there will be players you can envision being called up if there are injuries that happen to the players that make the 23-man roster, but also you're looking ahead to future events, and you want that pipeline of players who know what it's like to play at this level, who have established the chemistry playing with some of these teammates. And I think USA Lacrosse doing a great job. This is something that Coach Danowski said in terms of building that foundation, building that future for this team and for the sport.
John Tillman takes a timeout with Daniel Kelly in trouble, and Tom Schreiber, the veteran. I mean, this is a guy that's done everything, including, obviously, scoring the game winner in the final minute back in 2018 to deliver the United States a world championship. And yet, here he is on a Saturday morning in Sparks, Maryland, being a harassing defensive player. I mean, this is what you want from your veterans. This is the value of veteran leadership, is he's not taking a play off, even in an exhibition contest.
But again, these players, these veterans, it's not just the experience that they're bringing in terms of knowing what it takes to play at this level. They're playing with so much urgency because they don't know when their last event is going to be. They have been in this pipeline for quite some time. They played in these international events, and you really learn as you get older to savor the moment and to really play like it could be your last game every single time. I think we've seen that maturity, that urgency, that discipline out of a lot of the veterans. We've been very impressed as we've been talking about Pinnell. We've been impressed with Holman.
No question.
A lot of these guys. And when you are a younger player, because we've also been talking about some of the young guns coming up, these players still in college.
I mean, what a night Jack Hanna had last night.
Absolutely. He was really the standout
no question.
In terms of the second half, in particular in terms of icing the win for Team Blue. But when you're learning from those veterans, there's no better education that you can get.
No doubt about it. One of my other favorite storylines today, of course, is the Jesse Bernhardt story.
Yes.
He's playing for Team Blue. Of course, he's an assistant coach at the University of Maryland, where he works with the defense. And now it's a Bernhardt family affair, as Maryland longtime offensive coordinator Bobby Benson departed this offseason, took the head coaching job at Providence, and now he's been replaced by Jake Bernhardt, who comes back to his alma mater from Vermont to run the offense. So Jake running the offense, Jesse running the defense, and I feel like there's an ironic joke to be made about Jared maybe could help with special teams, because that's what he's been doing for the Atlanta Falcons. One of the great stories in all of sports. Jared Bernhardt, of course, winning the Tewaaraton Award and then deciding to go play college football at Ferris State, winning a national championship. He's going to stay down here with Maryland. Bernhardt family, pretty impressive.
They absolutely are. They're just the epitome of athletes, really can compete no matter what the sport is, what the level is. They bring such a high level, such a high IQ in terms of the way that they play the game.
Shot just off target. Great look from Maltz off the feed from Murphy. It's that first group out there for Maryland.
Yeah, Danny Maltz, another one I think everyone excited to see in terms of what the progression will be from last year to this year. 10 goals.
Murphy trying to sneak that one home. It was knocked down, and apparently in the crease, were covered up by JT Giles Harris, the former Duke Blue Devil, Defensive Player of the Year in the PLL this season, playing with Chrome. And interesting about JT Giles Harris, he actually has some World Championship experience himself. He played for Team Puerto Rico in 2018. Now trying to make Team USA for 2023 in San Diego. And no call.
Great defense in terms of the pressure there.
Battle for the ground ball continues, and it is intense.
Love the all-out effort we're seeing both sides of the field. It's been a close battle really from start to finish so far in this game.
Another former Terp coming up with the ground ball. Michael Earhart, another one of the veterans that we refer to. Tournament MVP at the 2018 World Championship, trying to represent his country again this summer. And wants to defend. That was one of the storylines you referenced it. Maryland trying to defend their national championship. Team USA, their world championship running shot from Justin Anderson. Stopped by McNaney.
Well, it's really hard for this Maryland team because of the standard that they have set. In the past 2 years, they've only lost one game. That's quite a legacy to live up to.
My friend Patrick Stevens from USA Lacrosse Magazine reminded me they've lost no regular season games since before the pandemic.
It's truly...
Which is staggering, and there you go. Nope.
Gonna wave that off.
No, wave it off. So keep it 3-2. It's staggering to think about how insanely successful John Tillman's program has been.
It is, especially when you know that every team brings their A game when they play Maryland. That's a date circled on the calendar. That's a game you know you're going to play at the absolute highest level to try to go against the Terps. And their consistency and what they've been able to do has been outstanding. It's a credit to Coach Tillman and his staff, too, in terms of the fact how they mix things up. You never know what you're going to get. They have such great versatility. It's very hard to play against this team.
Kobe Smith maybe a little too aggressive defensively. Former Towson Tiger made a huge defensive play to set up what was really the icing goal last night for Team Blue in their inter-squad scrimmage win. Kobe Smith getting the opportunity to showcase himself. Plays for Atlas in the PLL, four-time All-American at Towson.
We talked about that, though, that's one of the big things that Coach Danowski and his staff are looking for. It's not necessarily getting the big stats in terms of goals scored or even in terms of assists, but the little plays, the big defensive stops, the big ground balls, stopping a fast break, those game-defining moments are going to be determining factors when they try to make tough choices about who's going to make the roster for the national team.
Jack Brennan not able to hold on, but gets it right back. Now tries to feed it in front. Boy, that was a fire shot.
So much power on that.
Daniel Kelly trying to get a second on the day, not able to get it on target.
He's been a standout, though, in terms of where he's been on the field to try to create good scoring opportunities for Maryland. Great target.
Jack Corus loses his footing and ends up turning it over. Team USA gets it back, just over 5 minutes to play in the second quarter. They lead 3-2. Don't know how much, again, the field conditions, the sun, and just the early start time has maybe impacted it, but it seemed just a bit sluggish so far in this one.
Not sluggish, though, is Pinnell.
Oh, and another tremendous defensive play, this time Zapatello again.
Zapatello, in terms of the consistency, has been one of the biggest factors for Maryland on the defensive end.
Kaufman feeds it inside, and might have been a push, not whistle. Daniel Kelly trying to get a shot off, and Maryland able to hold on to it.
Very athletic play by Daniel Kelly, who has asserted himself in the first half of this contest. I think certainly trying to make a case that he is one of the players that's going to be a standout offensively, a go-to player to really carry a lot of the offensive load.
He's someone who, despite being a high-profile recruit, accepted a lesser role in order to play at Maryland. He talked about his desire to win national championships. That's why he came to Maryland, and so he did everything right, and now it's his chance. Good defensive play over on the far side made by Zach Goodrich, another former Towson Tiger. He and Kobe Smith back together.
But to your point, Glenn, I mean, I think it's about winning national championships. I also think it's about surrounding yourself with players who are at the top of the game and trying to elevate yourself to that level. I think that's a big thing that these players think about. It's not just about being a starter or getting all the playing time immediately. It's about the journey, and I think that's a very mature outlook for some of these younger players to take in that moment, to recognize that by the time you get to your senior year, things are going to be different if you put in the work and you make the sacrifices.
Team USA will take a timeout here with 3:27 remaining in the second quarter. We have a new goalie in for Team USA, and it's another one of the stars of our scrimmage last night. Jack Kelly enters.
Great last night. He was one of my favorites in the contest because I felt like he really set the tone for Team Blue. And if you had to pick an MVP for me, it actually would have been Jack Kelly instead of perhaps a Jack Hanna, because getting that 5-0 start in the first quarter was what gave the blue team the win, and that was all courtesy of the red-hot goalkeeping of Jack Kelly. It was almost impossible to get a ball past him, and in fact, we ended the first quarter 5-0. No goal scored by the white team.
He only allowed 1 goal, made 5 saves last night. He was outstanding, and that's another one of the great battles. We talk about building these rosters. Only 23 players that can travel for the World Championships in San Diego, Monica. And, you know, the face-off thing, Baptiste, Erlin, Sisselberger, you're probably going to only be able to keep... And I feel like I'm dismissing Nardello, who's been excellent, right? He's been outstanding. You're only going to be able to keep 2 likely on the travel roster, probably just 2 goalies on your travel roster for the World Championship. You got Blaze Reardon, you got Jack Cannon, you have Jack Kelly. You have so many great goalies in the program. It is a very difficult choice that John Danowski and his staff are going to have to make.
Well, and I think sometimes what it comes down to...
I didn't mention Kyle Burnmore.
Absolutely. And what it comes down to may not be the 2 best. It may be 2 that have a little different styles, because you have to be able to switch that up depending on who your opponent is. And different goalies have different strengths. And that's something right now that John Danowski and his staff are really evaluating. He's told us it's not about the best talent, even though everyone here is so talented. It's about the pieces to the puzzle, and I think that's what it's going to come down to, is different styles, different strengths, and trying to balance that out, because otherwise I don't know how you make those choices.
There would be somebody that would say, well, you can't lose, right? They're all such good players that, you know, any combination of them.
You can't make a mistake.
Right?
That's the beauty of it. But of course you want to go to win, and you don't want to have any thoughts in the back of your mind in terms of how you could have done something different in structuring the roster.
Team USA with the ball out of the timeout, leading 3-2 late in the second quarter. Of course, clock continues to run until the final 30 seconds of quarter number 2. Glenn Clark, Monica Moore with you. This is the USA Lacrosse Fall Classic. First of 3 games today. After this one, it'll be the U.S. women's national team taking on North Carolina. There was a behind-the-back pass, and we didn't expect to see many of those this weekend.
We were, in fact, told not to expect very many of them by Coach Danowski, because right now what the coaching staff is looking for is the execution, looking for these players to play smart lacrosse, high percentage shots, high percentage passes in terms of creating opportunities out on the field, because those are the types of things at the end of the day that win championships, and that's what this team is looking to do.
Interesting, we see Logan Wisnauskas out there as that shot's not on target. Logan Wisnauskas not on the blue team roster for Saturday morning, but getting the chance to play against his former teammates.
I don't think he would turn down the opportunity.
Yeah.
Particularly this weekend, in terms of what this moment means, not just almost like an alumni game for him in terms of playing against his alma mater, but also any chance you can get to try to impress when you're one of the younger players who's coming in to this situation. You want to take it and make the most of it.
Worth pointing out, of course, that when we say not listed on the roster, we were sent rosters earlier in the week, and of course, some players may be able to be here, some players maybe not able to play, and we saw an injury last night, unfortunately, to Garrett Apple, and so probably have to mix up the rosters a little bit today from what was expected. So,
well, and you have to understand these players, they have to live their lives. They have other obligations, other commitments. Their changes have to be made based on logistics and where certain people need to be at certain times. And that's the beauty of an event like this, is there can be adjustments as needed.
And we get another timeout here with 1:16 remaining, as Maryland, wonder if they're thinking about trying to hold the ball a little bit here. Of course, no shot clock in the international game. And we pointed out that was not part of the strategy this week for John Tillman and his team. They were not worried about learning all the international rules. They kind of discussed them a little bit, but their priority was We need to work on us. They're not going to be playing with international rules when they go try to defend their national championship.
Well, that's right. And I think in terms of the score right now, you're not seeing teams hold the ball or anything, but what we are seeing is great, intense defense.
No question.
Out of the two squads. And I think the defense has been the bigger storyline than the offense so far in this game.
I think Ajax Zapatello has clearly stood out defensively on the Maryland side. The Team USA side, again, these guys just played last night. Turning around very quick, trying to play at 9:30 this morning. Don't know what the impact is of it, but you know, you're looking for guys, when you're playing a bunch of games in a short period of time at the World Championships this summer, it might not be this dramatic of a turnaround. I don't think you're going to be playing, you know, 12 hours removed, 14 hours, I guess it is, when you last were on the field. But you are going to have quick turnarounds and trying to play games in a very short period of time when you get to San Diego.
You certainly are, and the personnel switching up as well, and I think that's something that these guys are adjusting to is right now the coaching staff trying to see who works well together. So there's not always a lot of consistency out on the field in terms of who your teammates are, and they're working through that as well.
That was another big storyline for John Danowski and his staff this week. Of course, John Danowski assisted by Seth Tierney, as well as Joe Amplo and the newcomer to the staff for these World Championships, Loyola head coach Charlie Toomey. He talked about we want to see different pairings. We want to see different groups of guys working with guys, because that's also some of what's going to go into our decision making. Again, not just talent, not just who are the best players, but who do we like the most lining up with each other to be our midfield pairings for the World Championships, to be our starting attackers for the World Championships, our defensive duos.
And I think for the fans and for us, the people watching this event, to us, this is just an all-star game. But for these athletes, this is training camp in terms of learning this style, what the coaching staff wants to see, developing chemistry with your teammates, really putting together those puzzle pieces that are going to be the players that are going to be the impact players in the World Championships.
And as we expected out of the timeout, Maryland choosing to hold Kyle Long, the honorable mention All-American a year ago, the leading returning points getter for the Terrapins, 42 points.
Very good last year in terms of distributing the ball, 25 assists for Maryland.
Into the final 30 seconds, Long, not yet. Being defended by Richard. Long sends it back. Now fed into the middle, good find, and after that a big hit. Daniel Kelly through the contact, ties us up at 3 apiece.
I have to tell you, I'm not surprised in terms of whose number gets called to take that opportunity for Maryland, because to me, Daniel Kelly has been the most dynamic offensive player out on the field. Good ball movement, swinging the ball around, finding the cutting player, and what a finish. Daniel Kelly able to convert to tie things up. And I think just from a mental perspective, if you can go in the locker room at halftime all tied up,
no question,
against the blue team of Team USA, you've made quite a statement coming out in this contest this morning.
Jack Horace gets the assist, his first point of the day. Erlin decides not to pick up that ball himself because he wanted a player coming forward with positive momentum in these final seconds. Bounce shot. McNaney able to deny at the buzzer, and that's how the first half comes to a close, with Goodrich getting the shot off. Very competitive first 30 minutes today. Team USA, Maryland knotted up at 3 apiece. We'll come back in, look at our first half highlights. That's next. You're watching the USA Lacrosse Fall Classic.
Yo, yo, yo. Do you know? I've seen it all before. This goes Tiger. Just as sharp from the bending knee. My main man, Money the King. There ain't nothing I ain't seen.
Okay, old school. Have you seen someone ball like John Morant? You know you can't. You've never seen anyone like a thing. The point guard Queen, Sky, or Chloe Kim. Do you know there's never been anyone else like them? Look, OG, no disrespect. I know you think you've seen everything, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Checkmate.
Every player knows the skills you learn on the field can be the foundation for anything you choose to do in life.
Thank you for connecting me to a greater community.
We're growing beyond goals on the field.
And our futures are united.
So thank you, Lacrosse.
For inspiring me to be me.
We are better,
Safer.
And wiser together.
And we're building a stronger future
For everyone.
halftime here at Tierney Field. Team USA and the University of Maryland tied up 3 apiece. Glenn Clark alongside Monica Moore with you at the USA Lacrosse Fall Classic. Monica, maybe not the the sharpest at all points in the first 30 minutes, but a really competitive half of lacrosse.
Absolutely, both teams leaving it all out on the field right now. And I have to tell you, the stars came to shine today for both of these two squads. But I think for Maryland, some questions getting answered for Coach Tillman and his staff, because certain players stepping up, really setting the tone, I think, for what's going to be their upcoming spring season as well.
No question about it. All right, let's take a look at our first half highlights, see how it is that these first 30 minutes played out. Maryland came out sharp, looking to make a statement against the national team. Daniel Kelly, he has been active, first of 2 goals for the Terps.
He was absolutely outstanding in the first half at Team USA, getting a good answer there by Bertrand. That's Weirman, the big break down the field created off the clean face-off win and the quick finish for Spanos.
And Maryland having answers today after they gave up the goals. You mentioned, Monica, the quick face-off win, then transition opportunity executed perfectly by Team USA. Michael Sowers putting it home, make it a 2-2 game. They would go in front. Brennan O'Neill, we keep talking about this young man. Very young player, not a lot of space to work with. He doesn't mind. He scores, makes it 3-2, but in the closing seconds, Maryland calls a timeout, and what they drew up, they executed perfectly.
Absolutely. Held the ball to the right moment. Daniel Kelly, who was certainly tremendous in the first half, able to tie things up. You really could not execute much better in the waning minutes of the second quarter.
Off a tremendous feed from Jack Corus. That's where we are, 3 apiece. When we come back in, we're going to meet the 2021 class of the National Lacrosse Hall of Fame, which will be inducted tonight. That's next. You're watching the USA Lacrosse Fall Classic.
Yo, yo, yo. Do you know? I've seen it all before. Let's go, Tiger. Just as sharp from the bending knee. My main man, Money the King. There ain't nothing I ain't seen.
Okay, old school. Have you seen someone ball like John Morant? You know you can't. You've never seen anyone like a thing. The point guard Queen, Sky, or Chloe Kim. Do you know there's never been anyone else like them? Look, OG, no disrespect. I know you think you've seen everything, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Checkmate.
Every player knows the skills you learn on the field can be the foundation for anything you choose to do in life.
Thank you for connecting me to a greater community.
We're growing beyond goals on the field.
And our futures are united.
So thank you, Lacrosse.
For inspiring me to be me.
We are better,
Safer.
And wiser together.
And we're building a stronger future
For everyone.
Oh, it's on. Watch out, scrub. Whoa! Look at JT Giles. Harris calls the turnover. First of 3 games today here at the USA Lacrosse Fall Classic. Glenn Clark, Monica Moore with you. Team USA and the University of Maryland tied up 3 apiece at the half. Monica, you and Tari are going to be with us for the rest of the day. Coming up next, the Team USA women take on North Carolina. What are you most looking forward to in that one?
Well, for Team USA, they've had a lot of players retire, so their roster doesn't exactly look the same as it looked in the World Championships. But Marie McCool is back. I'm very excited to see her play, and she's going to be playing her alma mater. She's an assistant coach at UNC, and I think that's going to be a fun one to watch. Of course, Jenny Levy, one of the best in the business, will be coaching Team USA today. Phil Barnes, her assistant, will be coaching the Tar Heels. That's going to be a fun battle.
Speaking of which, it is time for us to meet the 2021 class of the National Lacrosse Hall of Fame. Great weekend to celebrate the entire class, including, of course, Jenny Levy. Will be great to see her again. Coming up next, it will be the University of North Carolina taking on the United States women's national team. When we come back in, we're going to have the second half of this one for you. Team USA and Maryland tied up at 3 apiece. You're watching the 2022 USA Lacrosse Fall Classic.
Yo, yo, yo. Do you know? I've seen it all before. Let's go, Tiger. Just the shot from the bending knee. My main man, Money, the king. There ain't nothing I ain't seen.
Okay, old school. Have you seen someone ball like John Morant? You know you can't. You've never seen anyone like a thing. The point guard queen, Sky, or Chloe Kim. Do you know there's never been anyone else like them? Look, OG, no disrespect. I know you think you've seen everything, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Checkmate.
Every player knows the skills you learn on the field can be the foundation for anything you choose to do in life.
Thank you for connecting me to a greater community.
We're growing beyond goals on the field.
And our futures are united.
So thank you, Lacrosse.
For inspiring me to be me.
We are better,
Safer.
And wiser together.
And we're building a stronger future
For everyone.
Oh, it's on. Watch out, scrub. Whoa! Scores! Logan Wisniewski! Look at JT Giles Harris calls the turnover.
Getting ready for the start of the second half. Team USA, the University of Maryland, tied up 3 apiece. Glenn Clark, Monica Moore with you from Tierney Field at the USA Lacrosse headquarters here in Sparks, Maryland. So glad to have you with us. Day 2 of the Fall Classic. Terps will be going right to left here in quarter number 3. Team USA, the blue side, but wearing white, going left to right. And a clean face-off win for TD Erlin to start off this third quarter. Does Team USA need to do a little bit better here in the second half, Monica?
Well, I think one thing is just the crispness, and we talked a little bit about that in the first half of the contest. They looked a little sloppy in the early minutes of the game, but I did like the response. I felt like when Maryland scored that first goal, Team USA locked in a lot more. And that was the type of response that I know the coaching staff was looking for. It was a quick answer by Team USA, and we'll see if they can come out and set the tone here in the second half, because I felt like in the first quarter it was the Terps that set the tone in the game.
Former Terp Matt Rambo not on target. So Team USA not able to get anything in that first possession of the second half. Terps going in transition. And I want to point out, it does appear as though there is a new goalie for the University of Maryland, Teddy Dolan, the graduate student from Garden City, New York, Binghamton transfer, now in between the pipes for the Terps in the second half.
And we really are seeing that from Coach Tillman in terms of looking at the depth chart. We saw a different player, Keithler, taking the face-off to start off the third quarter. It's a nice stop back in goal.
Loose ball picked up by Kelly in the cage. Jack Kelly starts the second half for the United States national team. In goal, Brown alum Jack Kelly, now playing with Redwoods in the PLL.
I thought last night he just saw the ball so well, whether it was a high shot, a low shot, whatever it was very quick with the reaction time, played with so much composure. And as I've already said, and you see right there.
Nice looking skip shot from Daniel Kelly. Can't get that one to go because it's the Kelly-Kelly matchup, of course.
It truly has been a big weekend for Jack Kelly. I like everything that we've seen out of him in terms of handling the moment, setting the tone for his defense.
So we referenced that one of the storylines for Maryland today that John Tillman was talking to us about was needing to find the depth. Obviously, Logan McNaney's their goalie. We know that. But how do things shake out behind that? And one of the things that you and I both noticed is that John Tillman was back is nearly a great takeaway. Play will continue. John Tillman was back warming up his own goalies before today's game.
Truly impressive. You don't see that all the time. Particularly, he was telling us, he's had a couple of shoulder surgeries, said he's probably going to be a little sore tomorrow. But I have to tell you, talk about setting the tone for your team out there doing everything you can to help get this team ready to play. I love that top-down approach from John Tillman.
And how about that harassing defense, forcing the turnover? Nick Redd, the junior from Wilmington, Delaware, making that extraordinarily difficult, defending all the way out the midfield.
I really like the confidence that the Maryland defense is playing with right now. And it's not just one player, it's not just two players. This whole defensive unit has come today. They've got great chemistry. They seem like they've really gelled. Good communication, which is probably the most critical component in terms of being a good defense.
Marco Signorello out there, for freshman midfielder from Leesburg, Virginia. Terps continue this possession. Interesting to point out, the reports were, and we didn't get to watch last week's game against Cornell, as Team USA comes away with takeaway, digging in there, Ty Warner, grabbing that ground ball. But the reports were that they stuck with their regulars for the better part of 3 quarters against Cornell. Today, they're going a bit quicker to the bench here as they start quarter number 3.
Well, and of course, you have to keep in mind, Maryland's playing again this afternoon as well. So I think some minutes being managed. And also, as expected, we're seeing different players, how they respond in this setting, because that's going to answer a lot of questions.
So yes, as Monica points out, the third game of our triple header today. We've got this one, then the North Carolina Team USA women's matchup, and then game 3 scheduled for 2:30 this afternoon.
If you're a lacrosse fan, this truly is one of the best weekends of the year because, of course, tomorrow we're going to have more great lacrosse from the Brockton Cup, seeing some of the great youth talent. We've talked about that pipeline, and it really all starts there in terms of the youngsters getting to play on the international stage.
So after Costabile took that shot, I actually noticed he looked like he was hobbling a little bit coming towards the sideline, but now I'm starting to wonder if it wasn't just him sort of hopping out of frustration that he didn't score there, because as soon as he got to the sideline, he appeared to be fine. Oh,
wow.
Off the pipe. Good look, but just not able to convert. As this next group for Maryland, we talk about all the talent they have. They are loaded, and they always have been.
That's tremendous hustle, though, by Razanka. We talked about him last night in terms of all the hustle plays, the tremendous defense out of Peyton Razanka.
He is harassing. I mean, he is just in your face.
Just a player out on the field. You see him coming, number 32, great speed, great awareness.
Again, don't know if he's going to make the World Championship roster or not, but he's still got another season to go at Loyola, and he is definitely making a name for himself on the national team level. Of course, playing with his head coach, Charlie Toomey, who's on the staff. Saw a great exchange between Charlie Toomey and John Tillman before the game as that shot not on target from Mullane.
I like that effort, though, by Mullane, one of the graduate students.
Team USA gets it back. 8:30 to play in quarter number 3. I think there's
continues to just be a defensive affair here in terms of both teams' defenses stepping up. It's not that the offense can't get anything going. It's really that we're seeing these big defensive momentum plays.
one of the other interesting storylines for me about the University of Maryland, Monica, is who's going to wear number 1 this season? No number 1 on the roster right now. Of course, we know who it's been the last couple of years. They've been the best players in the country. Interesting choice. We had posed it to John Tillman. He said
he did not give us any hints.
Yes, very much left it open-ended.
Very close to the vest.
Said we'll probably make a decision by about January about who wears number 1, and it's not just who's the best player, as that comes free. Another opportunity for a ground ball there to take it away. King Ripley.
Again, the defense just continues to be outstanding. Ripley, only a sophomore, so he's definitely one of these players that's looking to make an impact here, looking to make a statement.
From Annapolis, played at St. Mary's. And John Tillman said, look, not just a stats guy, it's about who represents the program and leadership the best. Of course, their mantra of be the best, who represents that most, that will be who ends up wearing number 1.
But I also think it's not just someone who has a great lacrosse game, it's someone who has the great mental game, because it is quite a weighty responsibility to wear the number 1 jersey, and you don't want it to be a burden to someone, and that's something that John Tillman always talks about. So they want to select the right player that can handle the pressures that come with it. It's not just an honor, but for these players, I feel like it almost can feel like an expectation at times, and so it is a big decision for the Maryland coaching staff to make.
Flag down for the slash, and this is interesting. Matt Rambo over here on the Maryland sideline chatting with his former head coach John Tillman. Of course, they did some magical things together, winning the 2017 national championship, ending that lengthy drought for the University of Maryland. And cool to see him standing on the sideline with the Terps here on a Saturday morning in Sparks.
We talked about that last night, that it has to be such a treat for all the Maryland alums that are on the national team roster to get to play against their school at this level. Of course, they have alum games, but at this level, on this stage, in front of these fans, it's a lot of fun. I think you take a lot of pride in that.
Good movement from Maryland and the extra man forcing the slides, although it slows down a little bit. They'll continue to move it around. Signorello.
And this was one of the biggest things that John Tillman told us coming into this contest. They know that they needed that crisp ball movement. That was one thing they've been preaching to their team in practice, and that was well executed by Maryland as they back up the play.
Urksa, the freshman, takes the shot as the penalty comes up. Back to even strength. 9.5 minutes gone by in this third quarter. No one has scored yet in the second half. So
0-0 in our third quarter, which is not surprising given the defense that we've seen play in this contest, and the goalkeepers as well. Now, in particular, you have Jack Kelly back in goal for Team USA. As we talked about, Maryland has switched things up. We're getting to see other options.
Very athletic looking shot there from Signorello, laying himself on the line. Now the running shot on the other side that Kelly saw the entire way.
It look so easy back in goal, and then you see the communication there, settling things down.
Braden Urksa, it's an awfully difficult task for a freshman and someone who's not yet played a collegiate game. Now, you know, all you have to do is go try to score against Jack Kelly. Good luck, no worries.
He's been tremendous, has just stood on his head this weekend in terms of some of the shots that he has stopped. Two-time captain at Brown, brings that great leadership as well, I think, to this Team USA program.
4.5 remaining here in this third quarter. Team USA again trying to move back in front. You wonder, you get into the fourth quarter if you're Maryland, if you think about maybe putting some of your guys back in, if you have a chance to win this game. Again, they have maintained it's not about results. That's not the priority here, but I imagine there would be a couple guys that would be pretty excited about the idea of beating Team USA. Inside one-handed look from Rambo won't go.
Trying to create a highlight reel moment there is Rambo. Difficult shot selection.
Yes, very difficult. Matt Rambo's got some national team experience, although playing indoors box lacrosse won a bronze medal at 2019 Indoor World Championships.
You see the defense just hounding these players once again. Great, quick movement with their feet.
Trying to get free inside, gets it off. Maryland doing a world of good on defense.
George Stamos, the freshman defender for Maryland, coming up huge.
Saw a tweet from the USA Men's Lacrosse Twitter account. These Terps are legit at the half, and they certainly are.
They've come to impress today. And again, to echo your point, Glenn, I don't know what we're going to see in the fourth quarter, particularly if this result holds going into it. But what I can tell you is there has not been a drop-off in terms of the level of play for John Tillman's club.
Maryland looking to go in front. 3-3 game, under 3 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Elliot Dubik out there, the freshman attacker. Great opportunity for these freshmen to go up against the best in the world, test themselves very early on in their collegiate career. Mullane drops it off. Urksa dodging, pulls up. Seen a lot of
good pressure by Tarafinko.
Urksa gets inside, slips it home. Nonchalant.
That's another freshman, by the way, and I think that's been one of the exciting things about this third quarter is seeing some of these freshmen step into the Maryland lineup and take a look at this opportunity right along the crease. Urksa going to the far corner, picking his spot. I think that was such a smart decision by the youngster.
Braden Urksa, the freshman from Georgia by way of the IMG Academy, has Maryland on top, 4-3, under 2 minutes to play in the third with his first goal of the day. Erlin with the quick face-off win, going against Keithler again this time.
Erland all weekend long has been tremendous at the face-off dot. I think certainly doing everything he can to make the case for himself, the way that he has been able to win so many of the face-offs in this game of critical importance, particularly here, down by 1.
Rambo gets free inside, but can't get it to go. Race to the end line.
Play.
Man, you love to see Mikey Sowers getting after it like that.
I love the hustle play, the awareness, the want to.
Sowers beat his man, feeds it up top, and there is a game-tying goal stung from the outside by Schreiber.
Is there any surprise who scores that clutch goal for Team USA? Tom Schreiber, who just seems to have made a career out of clutch moments in terms of what he is able to do on a lacrosse field.
Set up by Mikey Sowers, making the great move to get free. He has the vision. Schreiber is there. If Schreiber's hands are free, he is most certainly free. Tom Schreiber makes it 4-4. Clock stops with 30 seconds. That's the way it works in the first 3 quarters. No stoppages until the final 30 seconds. Another quick face-off win for Erland. So Team USA with an opportunity to take the lead going into quarter number 4.
And this is an important moment, I think, for this coaching staff, because they're looking for how players manage moments like this. Tie game into the third quarter, you win the face-off. How do you react? How do you execute?
Costabile was trying to get free. It's ultimately O'Neal who was the one who was able to pull the trigger. 2.6 seconds as Rambo is just going to have to lob it in the middle and hope for the best, if he even chooses to do that. Looks like he's not going to bother, and instead we'll go to the fourth quarter tied up 4 apiece. Team USA getting a heck of a fight from Maryland today. You're watching the 2022 USA Lacrosse Fall Classic.
Sorry.
Yo, yo, yo. Do you know? I've seen it all before. There goes Tiger. Just as sharp with the bending knee. My main man, Money the King. There ain't nothing I ain't seen.
Okay, old school. Have you seen someone ball like John Morant? You know you can't. You've never seen anyone like a thing. The point guard queen, Sky, or Chloe Kim. Do you know there's never been anyone else like them? Look, OG, no disrespect. I know you think you've seen everything, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Checkmate.
Every player knows the skills you learn on the field can be the foundation for anything you choose to do in life.
Thank you for connecting me to a greater community.
We're growing beyond goals on the field.
And our futures are united.
So thank you, Lacrosse.
For inspiring me to be me.
We are better,
Safer.
And wiser together.
And we're building a stronger future
For everyone.
Oh, it's on. Watch out, scrub. Whoa! Scores! Logan Wisniewski. Look at JT Giles. Harris calls the turnover.
Tierney Field at USA Lacrosse headquarters here in Sparks. Glenn Clark, Monica Moore with you. Monica, what an atmosphere we have had. Had a great crowd last night. Today, standing room only here at Tierney Field to see Maryland take on Team USA.
But you can certainly see why. These teams have not disappointed on the weekend. This has been a phenomenal contest today. We had a thriller last night. It looked like the blue team might run away with it. The comeback from the white team. And then today, the way that Maryland has come out, we didn't exactly know what we were going to see from them, and they have held their own. Their defense has been on point. The youngsters, players that we have not had the opportunity to yet see play in the Maryland Red, have really stood out. Braden Erkstra getting that fourth goal for the Terps. That was a big moment in the third quarter that we didn't have a lot of offense in terms of goals scored.
So the reason why Matt Rambo chose not defeated in front is because of the penalty. They were going to be man up, so he just wanted to hold on to possession as they start on the extra man here in the fourth. Bounce shot won't go. Nice save as Wisniewski trying to get his first goal of the day. And indeed, it's the same goalie out there, Teddy Dolan, to start the fourth for the Terps, who makes a big save.
It's Connor Kelly on the shot.
He's got to race back because there was some trouble. He was out there fighting for the ground ball. Maryland will get it back. Well, nope, they will not. Wisniewski picks it up, fires it in towards the middle. Mikey Sowers able to get a shot off as he gets leveled, but it is not on target.
Sowers has really had a good contest here today. Didn't get to see him yesterday. I think he's been a standout in terms of the intensity. We saw the diving play on the other end of the field. Has really gotten involved here.
Now it's Connor Kelly, again dodging, trying to get free. Sowers will back it out, re-engage. A minute gone by, tie game 4-4 here in the fourth quarter.
Two-time Tewaaraton finalist, Mikey Sowers.
He's okay. He's decent.
He's had a pretty good career.
Has some Team USA experience at the U19 Worlds back in 2016, helping the U.S. to a gold.
You see Team USA here trying to pick apart this defense. It's been on point, as we said, for Maryland.
Back in the middle, fired in from outside. Schreiber not on target. Boy, can he generate some heat on his shot.
Really can. I think he's been a standout on the weekend. We've talked about Pinnell. I think these veterans, which is the expectation that the veterans come into an event like this and really understand the moment, and they're able to play at such a high level.
Thrown away, so Maryland gets it back. Chance to go back in front. 4-4 game into quarter number 4. Maryland bench fired up. Obviously, they have a lot more depth at their disposal. They brought a lot of players on this trip.
And we've seen a lot of players out on the field. They have really been looking to this bench, using this depth, giving a lot of players different opportunities, different scenarios.
Another freshman, Aiden Aiken from West Palm Beach, in there wearing number 2. Movement brings it back to the near side, and Dubik. And Kelly again up to the task.
Jack Kelly has almost been a brick wall this weekend for Team USA.
He has been awesome. Awesome, just awesome. Again, that's what's at stake. Spot on the national team. Jack Kelly was part of the team in 2018. Wants to be there again in San Diego in 2023. Trying to make sure he shows well here in the second to last opportunity. He was named Teammate of the Year in the PLL a season ago.
Great honor there, really getting that respect from your teammates around you. And I have to tell you, it's stuff like that too that the national team coaches are looking at, because the chemistry is so important. That's one thing that John Danowski told us, which is that it's important that you have guys out there that are playing for each other. And in this environment, this setting, it's a little harder to generate that than if you're working with a college program. And so when you have a player who is getting an award like Teammate of the Year, I think that's a big consideration.
That's a great point. Nice dodge from Costabile, trying to get free. Back to his left. Oh, he tries to bear down,
again.
But King Ripley is there waiting.
That's a second big play by King Ripley on the defensive end for Maryland.
And Brad Smith, looking for Rambo, ends up throwing it away again.
And it's all this defense for Maryland, getting players a little out of system there and creating an opportunity to get the ball back.
Not surprising, a lot of Maryland fans here in Baltimore County. A lot of fans throughout the state, and opportunity to see their favorite team maybe a little bit closer than a trip down to College Park. In fact, we got fans on the hill on the opposite side of the field.
And it's only going to get bigger today, I think, as these games continue, because we're going to see a lot of fans pouring in for the women's game. And then, of course, the bookend to the day, getting to see this Maryland team play again against Team USA's white team.
A great atmosphere here at USA Lacrosse. They got the food trucks going.
There's so much to do as well if you're a lacrosse fan.
A lot of vendors in the area, opportunity, things for kids to do. Just an awesome event. Great to be a part of it. Urksa trying to find Kevin Tucker, ends up throwing it away. Tucker, the former Loyola Don, Ellicott City, sophomore, had a goal and 2 assists a year ago.
I've always thought, too, that with events like this, if you are a young lacrosse player and you want to come out and see players do things the right way at the highest level, I think there's no better education for you than coming to an event like this and seeing some of the best in the world at their craft, performing against great competition.
9 minutes to play in this fourth quarter. Team USA trying to go back in front. That's deflected. Goes the other way. It's Connor Kelly not able to connect. It's the issue we've talked about throughout the day, Monica, just a little sloppy.
And again, I think give credit where credit's due to the Maryland defense, because I think they're upping the tempo.
Boy, Sauer's selling out over there, trying to make the play.
He really has played with all-out intensity. So much fire today from Sowers.
Urksa trying to get free in front, continues his run, gets his hands free, shoots low, but
that's a goal against a lot of other goalkeepers, I have to tell you.
And by the way, it's Blaze Reardon now playing in cage for Team USA. Blaze Reardon had a goal, or allowed a goal and 2 saves on one side, and then flipped over to the other side last night, gave up 5 goals, made 2 saves. Plays for Chaos in the PLL, one of the most popular players in all of lacrosse. Maryland will get it back. Transition opportunity. Instead, slow it down. Mullane.
Smart decision making right there. In terms of understanding the moment, getting the personnel back out.
Midway point of this fourth quarter. Neither team yet to score in quarter number 4. Signorello pulls up back at X. Now dodges in front. Aiken dodging to his right. Withstands. Ooh, he was in a little bit of trouble as Kobe Smith knocked him down. is able to get back up, protect possession.
Such great movement here out of Maryland in terms of trying to create with this offense. Have a lot of speed on the attack.
And now defender hung up, so an opportunity. It's actually Bernhardt who is the defender that was hung up, ironically. Charlie Corus.
Well, I have to tell you, no matter what the result of this contest, I think Jesse Bernhardt has to take a lot of pride out of what he's seen today on the field and from the sidelines from his Maryland team.
No question.
As the defensive coordinator, he has really got this defense
His
ready
unit's
to
been
go.
awesome. Really athletic play there from Elliot Dubik as he's in trouble going to the turf, able to keep it alive. However, that's going to be taken away. Kobe Smith now in transition. Kobe Smith made a defensive play that started a transition goal last night. Will it happen again? No.
Only because of a big play by the goalkeeper, Dolan.
Pennell denied by Teddy Dolan. These Terps came to play today.
And again, the level just does not drop no matter what the personnel is out on the field. And that was the big thing today that John Tillman and his staff wanted to see.
Under 6 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter.
But I do think, to go back to the point in terms of Jesse Bernhardt, he's the real winner in this contest because I think it's been a defensive game. I think both defenses have been tremendous.
Smith not able to get it to go. 5.5 remaining. Transition for Maryland all the way inside, right on the cage, but wave it off. Oh, timeout first.
Timeout.
Okay, timeout. Didn't know if that was a crease.
Is going to be a player you're going to want to keep your eyes on.
Yes, he
for
has
this
been
Maryland
impressive.
Team. Did not know very much about him coming into this contest, but he has a name that I will not forget after this second half performance for Maryland.
Yes, he has shown a lot of things. Maybe a player that very early on in his career is going to be able to make an impact in College Park. 5:21 remaining. John Tillman takes the timeout. Again, hasn't gone back to the starters, but instead trying to coach up these guys to pull off the stunner this morning. And again, we got to be careful about how we say these things because this isn't about results. These are exhibitions. But there's no doubt that if this group would be able to beat the national team, they would be awfully fired up about it.
They certainly would, but I do think you make a great point because neither of the coaching staffs really plan to win, even though they are playing to coach here. They're playing to educate their units because they're both trying to get different things out of this contest. For Coach Danowski and his staff, they really have to start making some tough decisions. And they're using this as an opportunity to really inform what that decision-making process is going to look like after that last December opportunity for this roster. I think for Maryland, it's much more about figuring out that depth chart, figuring out, you know that there are going to be injuries, there's going to be players that are unavailable at certain times. Who are going to be those key players that step in? And the level of play just does not drop off for you.
Well, and they've played, the other thing that cannot possibly hurt for a Maryland team in transition, they played last weekend outside of Philadelphia in front of 3,000 fans in a fall ball matchup against Cornell, who of course they had played in the national championship game. They won it 12-5. Again, it was worth pointing out that 9-5 at the end of three quarters was probably more of the significant storyline there because that's when more of the regulars were in. Now they play in front of another packed house here today at USA Lacrosse. This is great experience for them as they move towards, with again, a group of young players playing in the Big Ten next season, playing the huge non-conference games they play to start the year.
But this is why you come and play for a program like Maryland, for these opportunities to get to play at this high level, as we talked about, to get some looks today from the national team coaching staff.
Unforced errors. Aiken was looking for Mullane out of the timeout. Ball bounces all the way down to the other side of the field and there to gobble it up. However, in trouble, just forced to fling it back, keep it in play.
That was George Stamos again.
He's
another one of the freshmen.
Yeah, really nice plays today, Monica.
This recruiting class that has come in.
Mullane gets the ground ball.
They're answering some questions about who's going to replace certain players lost to graduation. This is going to be a tough fight to see who's going to get starting spots, who's going to get spots coming in early off the bench to contribute.
4-4, 4:27 remaining. Maryland again trying to go in front. Hard dodge from Tucker all the way inside. It's knocked down.
Well defended.
Picked up by Reardon.
By Team USA.
Here comes Team USA now. They have been pushed. Quick turnaround, having played last night. This group of guys trying to dig in, get over the finish line. Schreiber dodging left, lets it rip. I think that got some post. Kept alive. Pinnell.
He is so dynamic out on the field, Schreiber.
O'Neal, good movement, and that will be a go-ahead goal from Logan Wisnauskas.
Logan Wisnauskas. I think everyone who follows college lacrosse knows the name after what he was able to do last season, the Tewaaraton winner, who averaged 5.7 points per game in Maryland's perfect season. What a big goal.
And again, how about the weekend Brennan O'Neal is having here at USA Lacrosse? A couple of points today after he scored a goal last night. Brennan O'Neal making quite the statement about where he is among the most talented young players in the country.
Only a junior.
Swipes it back. That's the tough part now for Maryland. You fall behind in the late going, and that's T.D. Erlin out there.
And that's why you need a player like T.D. Erlin at the face-off dot in these big moments. We talked about this last night, how I think the national team coaching staff has to be so happy in terms of the moments that these players have been placed in because of the way that things have unfolded this weekend, because you have to manage moments like the one that T.D. Erlin just did. You have to win that big face-off to try to hang on to your lead. This is the exact moment that the U.S. team may find themselves in at the World Championships.
Brad Smith shook his defender. They're trying to work it inside to O'Neal, but his path was cut off. Good recovery defense from Maryland. Ticking towards the final 2 minutes. Reminder, the clock will stop in the final 2 minutes. Does not stop otherwise. Pinnell moves it back up top from well outside. O'Neal stoned.
That is another big stop by Dolan.
And a huge ground ball by Garrett Gibbons.
Look at that outlet pass by Dolan, but the check from behind.
Very fortunate, Maryland able to hold on as Dubik gets it back, and they've got a chance to tie it back up. Trailing 5-4, 1:37 remaining. They have been game for the challenge so far in this one.
They certainly have. They have not backed down at any juncture of this game. The level of play has been so high. Great job there by Jesse Bernhardt, though, on the defensive coverage.
I assume, of course, in the international play, you would go to overtime. There's always the thought that maybe the coaches could get together and say, that's not something we need to do today. But I would assume that if Maryland would tie it up, they'd go ahead and try to get a winner. Signorello keeps it moving.
And that's exactly what they're focused on right now. It's crisp ball movement, trying to find the right opportunity, the high percentage shot to try to equalize.
Under a minute, dangerous pass towards the middle will be thrown away. That's killer.
And that's Earhart on the big defensive play.
The veteran, the long pole, the former Terp, now with Whip Snakes, 5-time Pro All-Star, 2-time champ, trying to go back to the World Championships. And now Team USA, 35 seconds left. I don't think that they'll be told to just play keep away, although right now that looks like what they're gonna do. See if Maryland wants to come and engage and try to get the ball back out on the turf.
But you have to understand, they're preparing for these moments.
Yep.
They're trying to train for what this situation would be like if you're playing for that gold medal.
12 seconds. Wisnauskas eludes defenders, goals open. He's just gonna keep moving it towards the corner, and Team USA is gonna hang on.
You see Pinnell just using some speed to close things out.
They were tested. Maryland was up for the fight, but in the end, Team USA gets the 5-4 win here on day 2 of the USA Fall Classic. We'll come back in with second half highlights and some final thoughts. That's next from here at USA Lacrosse headquarters in Sparks, Maryland.
Yo, yo, yo. Do you know? I've seen it all before. This goes Tiger. Just a shot from the bending knee. My main man, Money, the king. There ain't nothing I ain't seen.
Okay, old school. Have you seen someone ball like Ja Morant? No, you can't. You've never seen anyone like a thing. The point guard queen, Sky, or Chloe Kim. Do you know there's never been anyone else like them? Look, OG, no disrespect. I know you think you've seen everything, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Checkmate.
Every player knows the skills you learn on the field can be the foundation for anything you choose to do in life.
Thank you for connecting me to a greater community.
We're growing beyond goals on the field.
And our futures are united.
So thank you, Lacrosse.
For inspiring me to be me.
We are better,
Safer.
And wiser together.
And we're building a stronger future
For everyone.
Oh, it's on. Watch out, scrub. Whoa! Scores! Logan Wisnauskas! Look at JT Giles. Harris calls the turnover.
Team USA finishes it off in the fourth quarter. They beat Maryland 5-4 here today at Tierney Field. Glenn Clark, Monica Moore with you from the USA Lacrosse Fall Classic. Monica, some final thoughts from you. It was a very competitive game.
It really was a marquee matchup between these two teams. And when you look at the final score, you might think that players held the ball and did some tactics like that, but that's not what happened. This was a truly defensive game. I think the defenses came to shine. The goalkeepers were tremendous. We were really impressed with Reardon. We were impressed with Kelly. Dolan coming in for Maryland. I think it was a great opportunity to see those goalkeepers, and I just love the intensity and the effort on both ends of the field. I think the crowd certainly got what they came for in game one.
Really good game, first of our triple header. Let's take a look at our second half highlights from this one. We were tied up 3 apiece going into half number 2. And early going, some young players getting in the mix. Braden Urksa scoring for the Terrapins, put him in front, but it wouldn't last long from outside. The stinger from Schreiber. And then Team USA executes this perfectly. Logan Wisnauskas with the game winner against his former teammates. Neat moment for him as he delivers the fourth quarter goal to make it 5-4. All right, Monica, you got a busy day ahead of you.
Absolutely.
Coming up next, U.S. women taking on North Carolina.
I think it's going to be a great one. As we talked about, there's some question marks in terms of we've had players who have retired from the national team roster, but they have a lot of talent from that team this summer. And of course, the UNC team, they've had a lot of players graduate, and a lot of their alums, just like we saw in this event, a lot of their alums are going to be playing for the national team, and I think that is always so much fun.
And the other half of the men's national team roster will also take on Maryland a little bit later on. Looking forward to you and Tari bringing us those as the day goes on.
Very excited. Can't wait to see if that level of play, if Maryland can continue to maintain this level of excellence that they certainly set in the first game of today's contests.
I want to thank you all for joining us. I want to thank everybody at USA Lacrosse for helping out. Brian Logue leading the way for them. Josh Smith and the team at Maryland. Thanks to our crew, BJ Kubaroulis, Jim Lepp, Mark Leduc, Derek Kramer, Jordan Smith, Brandon Roth. Monica, a pleasure working alongside you. For the entire team, I am Glenn Clark. Again, your final score here today, Team USA 5, Maryland 4. You've been watching the 2022 USA Lacrosse Fall Classic.